Hey, new phone, new TV. Why? New job, Anna?
Same double. Man, forget to say every month of August inside we day. MTN Mumu, match no flow second stone.
Hey, you talk true.
Exciting things are happening with MTN Mumu. Anti-Koswa pump your MTN Mumu wallet. No fire payments, send money, shut our bills. Just do more on your MTN Mumu. For building more points, now winning more. iPhone 10, Samsung S9 Plus, Samsung TV sets, and they up to 2,000 cedis e-cash. Ubeta free every month. Any achadie baby. 80 daily *120# for check your points. Promo where you're locking it down till 31st October 2018. AFT. Uwinia promo code bia. Untiashi. Asana wajo price. Uwinia number bako pair and a befrel 0244 300 000. No abejo price our MTN office. MTN and for text message and chadie. 80 koswa. Just Momo it everywhere you go. MTN Momo. Ayesa coat a cheno at Arabian ho. TNC supply.
Hi there, good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News with me, Benis Abubeidu. This bulletin is coming to you live from our studios here at Kokomlemle in a Crown digital address GA0993341. It's broadcasting live on Joy 99.7 FM, also live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi, affiliates across the country, on ABN Radio in London and around the world at myjoyonline.com. The news is brought to you by Telisol 4G, proudly Ghanaian. Telisol, just a touch, and UMB Bank, UMB Speed Up, Digibank, let's go. Coming up, Finance Minister reiterates government's determination to prosecute persons found culpable in the collapse of local banks as some legal experts urge caution.
If you make a mistake and you lose one, you've lost your mojo. So watch Mullah and what he's doing in the US. Slowly, very slowly. But when he hits, he files 18 charges, knowing that even one can take you to jail for 10 years.
We'll hear from them at an ongoing forum on the banking sector and get reactions to the Unibank shareholders' writ against the central bank. Also in this package, Telcom's chamber teams up with Bank of Ghana to develop a policy guideline to regulate mobile money transactions in the wake of attacks on vendors in the country.
We also had a meeting with the Bank of Ghana where all stakeholders were brought together to discuss the issues of security of the agents.
And as the race for the NDC flag bearership contest heats up, we'll hear from founder of defunct National Reform Party, Gusitano, on reports suggesting he will join the race.
If the organization decides that I should stand, and we do, then of course we have every chance to win. I think what I'm interested in is the support of the grassroots of the party.
We've got sports coming up later, and Black Stars coach Kwesi Appiah has selected 21 players for next month's 2019 Africa Cup of Nations qualifier against Kenya. Once again, there's no Asamoah Gyan, and the Ayew brothers are missing. We have a technical man share his thoughts on the select band of players.
We'll tell you why a rural community simmered with ecstasy following the donation of a computer, which was triggered by a Joy News report.
I feel well because I've never seen some before.
I feel very happy because I have touched it. I'm very happy.
We've got details of these and more here on the Midday News. Do stay. Great to have you here. The details now. Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta says government will not relent on its quest to prosecute persons found culpable in the collapse of local banks. The central bank has over the past year revoked the licenses of 7 indigenous banks, describing some as insolvent, contributing to a forum organized by the Dankwa Institute in Accra today to assess what led to the collapse of the banks. Mr. Ofori-Atta said bad corporate governance is to blame for the crisis. According to him, government has so far spent 8 billion cedis to protect depositors' funds. He says government is bent on ensuring that those who ought to be prosecuted are prosecuted, apart from the long-term goal of having banks with stronger capital.
We at the Ministry of Finance are sending, sort of a formal letter to BOG, really to look into their own internal processes, and therefore culpable people who participated in this should really be brought to book within within the Bank of Ghana that we are looking at. Furthermore, the Bank of Ghana also hopes to apply Basel II and III capital framework effective from January 2019. The application of these standards will certainly yield effective participation in strengthening important aspects in the area of good governance in banks. Credit rating is going to be key. The deposit protection law is also going to be key. So at the end, and as much as possible, our duty is to ensure that no depositor loses out.
Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta there, but some legal experts want the investigative agencies to be cautious before they commence prosecution. One of them is Ace Ananankoma.
We don't need another law. We need men and women to enforce the law. Some of what I've seen is shocking. As I read them, I cannot believe it. But guess what? It has happened. And many of us might look at it and say, oh, they were just smart. Our law says you can't be that smart with depositors' funds. But I'll end with a caveat. Let's not rush the Bank of Ghana. I know enough to know that white-collar issues and white-collar crimes are some of the most difficult to prosecute. If you make a mistake and you lose one, you've lost your mojo. So watch Muller and what he's doing in the US slowly, very slowly. But when he hits, he files 18 charges, knowing that even one can take you to jail for 10 years. And by the time the jury brings a verdict, at least 8. And so if you're going to multiply, the 70-year-old may be in jail for about 10 years. And because it's a federal crime, at least he must have 80% of it.
Lawyer Ace Ananankoma there. Let's go onto the line and speak to Joseph Akable, who is at that program. Joseph, what other issues have come up at the forum?
So, Dennis, largely the issues that have been discussed by the panelists that have contributed to the discussion have been issues of enforcement. The team has been made up largely of economists, and you have lawyers. Whilst the economists have lauded the Bank of Ghana for its approach, Dr. Eric Osei-Sibe, who is an economist, for instance, argues that, the issue of government indebtedness to some of these banks that many have blamed for the situation cannot be the case, and rather it's clearly a case of mismanagement at those banks. The finance minister makes the point, then again, that it is important going forward that they have stronger banks, so they are going to take a second look at the number of institutions that they grant banking license once an application comes in. He thinks that that is the sure way to go, as it will reduce the number of banks that the Bank of Ghana is supposed to regulate, as well as having stronger banks rather than too many banks operating in the system, Dennis.
Joseph, we also understand some experts have been reacting to the writ filed by shareholders of Unibank. What have they been saying?
The direct concern has to do with a bit about the capital adequacy ratio. And you recall that the lawyers for the Unibank, in that writ that they issued, make the point that it is due to commitments that government had to those banks that were written off or impaired by the central bank that caused their capital adequacy ratio to be in the negative that we saw them in as the Bank of Ghana governor addressed at that news conference announcing the collapse of those banks. Now, Dr. Sibe Yeboah argues that that cannot be the case, as in the calculation of the capital adequacy ratio, a greater percentage is given to individual loans, private loans for that matter, and not loans from government. So that clearly cannot be the case, as is being argued.
Thank you, Joseph. Meanwhile, lawyer and governance expert Dr. Eric Odro-Osai says Unibank will find it difficult to prove their case in court. Speaking on the Super Morning Show this morning, Dr. Odro-Osai said the plaintiffs cannot easily demonstrate that the central bank deliberately engineered their failure to take over the bank's assets.
That will be a very difficult order to prove. And my experience in finance tells me that if the auditors are visiting you on a number of occasions, it means there is something fundamentally wrong with your system. BOG is a regulator. And I think BOG would have themselves to blame because they visited them and they found that corporate governance structures were not going on well. What they should have done was to come out and then apply the law there. But they did not do that. They tried managing it because it was an indigenous bank, I believe. They tried managing it so that at least it will not collapse the banking sector. That is how come we are where we are. My belief is that it will be a tall order for them. My friend, Professor Atuguba, is a very good lawyer, and I'm happy he is handling this case. But if you indicate or you claim that your right under Article 23 has been violated, and the fact that Article 296 has also been infringed upon, it gives you a very tall order.
Dr. Eric Odrosai is a lawyer and governance expert. Away from the banking sector, the Telecoms Chamber says it is collaborating with the Bank of Ghana to develop a policy guideline to regulate mobile money transactions in the wake of attacks on vendors in the country. Now, there's been widespread attack on mobile money vendors in the country, with a recent case being a vendor who was shot and killed on Monday night at Asylum down here in Accra. We'll hear from the Chamber, but first listen to President of the Mobile Money Advocacy Group, Nyakwa Buate Ado, speaking to Joy News' Israel Lai on how her members are dealing with the attacks.
Almost every day we do hear of an armed robbery incident somewhere in Ghana.
I think attacks on your members?
Attacks on mobile money vendors nationwide.
Do they report all the time, or sometimes they choose not to report?
They do report some, they choose not to report.
Why don't they report?
Because even if you should report, you don't get in the needed assistance that you need from the security services. One of the things we constantly advise our members to take some personal security measures, more idea of what we are going to do.
Okay, so these measures that you've told your members about, has it helped at all?
Yes, some of them are helping, but as usual, some of them are not, because not all of us seem to be adhering to those security measures. Like, you have to close early
enough.
5 o'clock you should be closed. Some work as late as 10, even at midnight. You're not supposed to keep bulk cash on you. Try as much as possible to liaise with the banks.
Well, it appears the security situation is not limited to Accra. Let's go live to the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi, where my colleague Nanayao Jima has been looking at the situation there. Nanayao, how prevalent are these attacks, and what are the mobile money operators doing about them?
All right, such attacks are common in the Ashanti region here. The last of such robberies happened in June, where a female vendor was shot twice in both thighs by armed robbers who forcibly took some money, running into thousands of cedis from her, even after she had sought refuge at a pub closer to her shop. Attacks on mobile money vendors reached its peak early this year. Most of these incidents happened in broad daylight. About 2 vendors were shot in separate incidents, and others sustained various degrees of injury. But police, during this time, told us that they suspect a robber they tagged as a Lone Ranger, and he was behind most of the siege, and that happened in the Ashanti region. And as at this time, our information from the police service say that this Lone Ranger still remains a fugitive.
Nanayao Jima painting the picture in Kumasi. In the central region, Richard Kojonyako has also been looking at what the situation is at Winneba. He joins us on the phone. Richard, what can you tell us about the situation there?
Well, Benis, I can tell you for a fact that the mobile money merchants here have been gripped with fear. They fear for their lives, but they also say they cannot abandon their businesses because that is the only means of survival. Apart from the fear and the risk associated with their business, they tell me that they are also putting a lot of things in place to ensure that they are not attacked. I've seen many that have relocated from their usual secluded joints to different places where should any attack happen, people can easily come to their rescue. I've seen close to 10 of such merchants taking some precautionary measures. They want security in the country to be set up to protect their businesses and their lives. Some have also indicated to me that they would be forced to close earlier than they should. One merchant just told me that they usually close. She usually closes at 10, but with the current happening, she would have to close at 7. So these are some of the lamentation from these mobile money merchants.
Thank you, Richard Kojonyako. Now, John News is learning the gun-wielding man who killed a mobile money merchant Monday evening at Asylum down in Accra also attempted to rob a forex bureau that evening at Adabraka. A worker there has been narrating to Joy News how they went to hide in an office, but the robbers attempted breaking into it with a gun. He says they fled on a motorbike after firing some warning shots. Joy News' Maxwell Agbagba has more.
A worker at the Forex Bureau has been narrating to Joy News the frightening moment one of the robbers attempted breaking into their office with one of their guns. The imprint from the gun that was used is still visible on the office door.
We were watching a Liverpool football match. So after the match, we decided to close. So I was just quickly going outside to lock the door, and I saw someone entering the bureau. So I stand and watch the person entering the bureau. So I was just watching the person. So after he entered, finished, then I saw second one coming with a gun. Then I just pushed the first one to hit the wall, and I ran quickly into my boss' office. Shut the door, and we are at the back of the door, struggling with them. They push, then we push, they push, then we push. Then we started doing what? Shouting. I'm robbing, robbers attacking us, attacking us. So people in the neighborhood started shouting. Before the armed robbers ran away. The police people came here came for their masks, their shoes, everything to the station with the bullets.
What did they leave here? Their mask?
They leave their mask.
Well, that victim then narrating his ordeal to Maxwell Akbak. But meanwhile, CEO of the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications, Ken Ashigbe, says they've been engaging various stakeholders, including the Bank of Ghana, to develop a policy guideline which will look into the establishment of mobile money centers in the country.
So in terms of what we had to do, there's quite a lot of education that has gone on with the agents in terms of how they needed to protect themselves, actions that they needed to take to ensure that their lives were not at risk, and all of that. And that has been done by our members. And then following the meeting with the police, we also had a meeting with the Bank of Ghana, where all stakeholders were brought together to discuss the issues of security of the agents. And it also included a lot of activities, including actually even documenting where these agents were, and then plans to even introduce issues like insurance for the agents, so that if even they were attacked, the monies could be taken away, but they were sure that they would be insured. And there's some engagement with various insurance companies to be able to deal with it. So from our end, there's quite a bit of activity that have to be done. But with the Bank of Ghana coming in, they were going to bring all stakeholders together, because the challenge with these attacks are not an Accra issue. It was going to be done at a national level. That is why we have not gone back to the police. But it's not to say as if we have not acted. The things that are within that we are supposed to deal with, we've dealt with. But it's important for us to also realize that this is not a mobile money issue. This is a security issue.
You heard CEO of the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications, Ken Ashigbe. To some politics now. Will he or won't he? That's the question on the minds of many, particularly NDC members, as speculations heighten that founder of defunct National Reform Party, Gusi Tano, will join the party's flag bearership race. Mr. Tano abandoned the then governing NDC in 1999 to form his own political movement, citing concerns over principles and policies. Even though his loyalty has been questioned, Mr. Tano says he has no regrets leaving the party back in 1999. He's been speaking to my colleague Kwesi Parker-Wilson, who first asked him whether he intends to contest.
So if the organization decides that I should stand, and we do, then of course we have every chance to win.
Do you have the backing of the former president?
I have a very respectful and civil relationship with the president. We respect each other, and I believe we respect each other's choices. I will certainly inform him if the organization decides.
I hear he's pushing you to contest.
Really? I'm not aware of it. I'm not aware of it.
But do you think he's going to give you your support? He's going to give you
I think what I'm interested in is the support of the grassroots of the party and those who stand in tune with the desire and passion of the grassroots to see a transformed NDC. And I believe that he's always been a grassroots person. And I hope that indeed not only will we get his support, but we'll get the support of the entirety of the NDC to make this change that is so inevitable, so necessary, and must happen, not only for NDC's well-being, but the well-being of Ghana. When I fought for tolerance in the NDC with the National Reform Party, How can I be accused of?
I mean, they branded you as a traitor. Well, you betrayed the party.
I cannot betray Ghana.
Of course, you betrayed the NDC.
I can never betray Ghana. Ghana comes first, always. No party comes above Ghana. And if we're in a context where main political parties, democratic practices, management of the national resource is sorely lacking, we must speak out. And we will speak out. And I will do it again. I will do it again if I had to. Don't make that mistake. We are men of principle. Huh? We are men of principle. It's not just money. Our life is based on what we did as young people to help Rawlings resurrect this country. Our comrades died. Our friends died. People we knew died. What you're seeing today, as a result of the 1992 Constitution, is a result of blood and tears and sweat.
Well, if he decides to contest, Gussie Tano will have to face off with former Chief Executive of the National Health Authority, Sylvester Mensah, who is confident of emerging victorious in the upcoming NDC presidential primaries. He's been speaking on the AM show on the Joy News channel on Multi TV.
I must say that of all the candidates who are contesting, I'm the most senior. And senior in terms of the NDC, I'm a much more senior member of the party than any single one of them. And when when I say any, I mean any of them who have shown interest.
Why would that be?
I was part of the formation of the party. I was part of the team that even heralded the formation of the NDC, and I became the very first youth organizer in the Greater Accra region. At the time, most or all of those who are currently showing interest were nowhere to be found. They were not part of the party. They were not part of that initial process. To that extent, I'm much senior to my very good friend Alban Bagbin when it comes to NDC politics.
A former president. He was a vice president too. He was even your boss. You want to contest. If he decides to contest in any way, the connoisseurs are out there. You can't beat him.
Well, I mean, we also need to appreciate that the mood in the country is for change. And the world over, establishment candidates are losing out. Countries and Ghanaians are looking for something new and something fresh. It does not take an establishment candidate to win an election in our modern world. We see what happened in the US, the Trumps of the US. We saw what happened in France with the Macrons. We had establishment candidates who had appointees, who had cash, and who were paymasters, and they all lost. The trend in Ghana is the same.
Sylvester Mensah speaking to Joy News' Roland Walker. Now, Joy News is learning the newly reconstituted leadership of the Electoral Commission will be meeting leaders of various political parties this afternoon. The IPAC meeting will be the first to be chaired by Madame Jeanne Mensah since she was appointed to the post. We understand top of the agenda will be the limited registration, but we are picking reports suggesting the NDC will boycott the meeting. More on this in our subsequent bulletins. This is the Midday News on Joy 99.7 FM. Still to come, we'll tell you why a rural community simmered with ecstasy following the donation of a computer which was triggered by a Joy News report.
I feel very because I have never seen some before.
I feel very happy because as I have touched it, I'm very happy.
That is the sweet sound of excellence. That is the sound from Mack. Yes, Mack Ghana is the #1 distributor of the world's best quality Isuzu and Chevrolet vehicles in Ghana. Isuzu trucks from 1.5 tons to heavy-duty vehicles. Isuzu buses from 15 to 33 seaters, double and single cabin pickup, available in automatic and manual transmissions. We also stock a wide range of Chevy cars from SUVs, sedans, and small cars, fully loaded with exquisite specifications. All our range of vehicles stand out due to its high fuel efficiency, safety, luxury, spacious interior, world-class delivery, and after-sales servicing. What's more, we offer flexible payment terms to meet your pockets. Mack Ghana is a sole distributor for Isuzu trucks and pickups, as well as all range of Chevrolet cars in Ghana. Call us on 0302-813-919 in Accra or 0242-039-550 in Kumasi. Visit our website mackghana.com. Mack Ghana, with you for the long run.
Thanks for staying on the Midday News. I'm Benis Abubedu. It's now time for sports with Ridwan, and he's got a lot of information on the latest Black Stars call-up.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the national team, they've got an assignment next month in Kenya against that's in a qualifier to the 2019 Africa Cup of Nations qualifier, and that match will be played in Nairobi. Head coach Kwesi Appiah has named 21 players for the task and continue to leave out substantive captain Asamoah Gyan and their U brothers as well, Jordan and Andre. Inter Milan midfielder Kudus Asamoah is set to return to the team after a 4-year self-imposed exile. Also, Daniel Paris is making a return, and his Royal Antwerp teammate William Owusu-Champong is a striker, has been handed his first call-up. Regulars like goalkeeper Richard Ofori, Efia Akwa, Rafael Dramina, Kasim Nuhu, Harrison Afo, Thomas Partey, Ebenezer Ofori have been invited. So, former Asante Kotoko coach Isaac Opele-Boateng says this is a match-winning squad.
There is no question about the squad. I also learned Patrick Lumo and Emmanuel Boateng both are injured. You know, the controversy has always been with the Gyan and the Ayus being excluded. But no, we all know Gyan is trying his best at where he is. He did not even partake in their last game. And then Jordan and Dede Ayew have now joined a new class.
More analysis on the squad and also reactions from the players, especially William Owusu, who has been handed his first call-up on our pages as well. And then you follow us on social media, on television at 2 p.m. We've got sports today, more analysis on the Black Stars squad ahead of that game against Kenya in Nairobi next month.
Thank you, Ridwan. Now, the Asantehene Otumfuo Osei Tutu is expected to join Ochehene Osagyefo Amoateng for repaying tomorrow at Chebi as part of a grand durbar to mark the 75th anniversary of the demise of Nana Sir Oforiatta, the 31st Ochehene. The two traditional rulers are expected to deliberate on how to foster peaceful coexistence and the development agenda of their traditional areas. Now, here's a historical background of what some have called the deep-seated rivalry between the Ashantis and the Achims.
The rivalry between Asanteman and Achim is rooted in the history of wars and conquest. After King Osei Tutu I, the founder of the Asante nation, defeated Denkyira, he annexed surrounding Akan states into his new kingdom. They included Wassa, Sehi, and Twefo, but not Achim. In 1717, Opimswo Osei Tutu led an Asante regiment into Achim. Initially, he underestimated the Achims, and upon realizing the contingent of the Achim army, the Asante Rare Army decided to withdraw Osei Tutu back to Kumasi. Unfortunately, while he was crossing the Pra River with the Asante Rare Army, he was shot and killed by the Achims. The Mamponghene Ekuamwapenyin thereupon took over the command of the army until Opoku Ketechie was enthroned on the golden stool. In 1742, Opoku Ketechie invaded Achim Ebuakwa and Kotoku. Their kings, Bakwante and Apeu, together with Otublo Manche, were all slain, including the heir apparent to the Ebuakwa stool, Achim Owusu and Darko. A gold death mask of Bakwante was made and then added to the insignias on the golden stool of Asante. It is said that no Asante king has visited the Achim state in the last 300 years. Tomorrow, the Otumfuo Osei Tutu II will make history as the first Asante king to visit Achim. Not for war or conquest, but to diffuse a 300-year-old rivalry.
Well, ahead of that historic visit, correspondent Kofi Sian reports that the palace of the Ochehene has been given a facelift in anticipation of the arrival of the Asantehene. He joins us over the telephone. Kofi Sian, what should we expect tomorrow?
Well, what we are expecting tomorrow is that the Asantehene will grace the occasion with his other chiefs in Chebi. So he's expected to be the special guest of honor at the event tomorrow.
Well, we know that you definitely bring us updates on that event. Do stay with us here on the Joy News channel for more. Now, a rural community in the Kpandai district of the northern region was thrown into a festive mood following the donation of a computer and projector to the Girandongo Presby School. Previously, students there had difficulty learning how to use a computer because they did not have a practical feel of the gadgets. The students had no choice but to rely on the creativity of their ICT ICT teachers. Jojo Kobna reports that for the first time, some students touched a mouse and the feeling was almost electric.
A mini Deba at Jiandogo in the Pandai district of the northern region. Residents are excited. They dance and sing their hearts out. And the reason for the celebration is simple. The only school in the community now has a computer. Let's go down memory lane.
Before you can able to create a folder, when you on your boot on your computer, we have some place you click. You click and you see the place folder.
ICT teacher Lifanda Costa desperately trying to teach students how to create a folder. Students share what they learned.
A folder is a form of picture when you keep your things inside. Example like information or documents.
Scan of a computer when file or data input.
This is sad, perhaps tragic, but the teacher insisted that the children were doing very well. This story touched a philanthropist, Kita Bwaje, to donate a computer and a projector to the school. A circuit supervisor at the Pandai District Education Office, Apema Bosco Oscar, took the children through some ICT lessons.
Now step 2 says you should do what? I should right click. So now, right click. Where's your right? No.
The students did not only learn theories of how to use a computer, but they finally touched one. They were so excited that their fingers shook when they touched the mouse.
I feel very happy because I have never seen some before. So today, as I have touched it, I'm very happy so much. Because I have never used it before. My hand was shaking before. I have never used it before. So it was difficult for me before I created a folder.
I feel better because I have never seen some before.
Jojo Kobna with that report. It's now time to know what's trending. Mapito CBD is here with the latest.
Berners, the Bank of Ghana is trending, and at F. Koku says the Bank of Ghana early this month created the Consolidated Bank comprising 5 local banks. The central bank, among others, argued that the affected banks operated with severe capital constraints. #We demand prosecution. And at Canton Freeman says, for me, the first point of call is the Bank of Ghana. What went wrong? And at Kelat says, it's just so surprising for us to hear today that one of the reasons given by the Bank of Ghana is that the government loans are non-performing. And that's all from What's Trending.
Thank you, Mapito CBD with What's Trending. And that's how we end this edition of the Midday News on Joy 99.7 FM. There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. I'm Benis Abubeidu. Do enjoy the rest of your day.